On February 28, 2026, while most of the world was asleep, nearly 900 airstrikes hit Iran in 12 hours. By morning, Iran's supreme leader was dead. By evening, missiles were flying back toward Tel Aviv. Within 48 hours, the Strait of Hormuz, through which 20% of the world's oil passes, was effectively shut down. Oil hit $126 a barrel. Fertilizer prices doubled. 6 countries were under missile fire. This wasn't a limited strike. This was the beginning of a war that reshaped the entire Middle East in 30 days. And most people still don't understand what actually happened or why. Chapter 1. The Trigger. To understand what happened on February 28th, you have to go back a few weeks. In January 2026, Iran was already on fire from the inside. Protests erupted across the country, not small ones, the largest since the Iranian Revolution of 1979. Security forces responded with extreme violence. Estimates range from 7,000 to over 36,000 dead. The world watched. No one intervened. Meanwhile, US-Iran nuclear talks had completely broken down. Iran was enriching uranium at levels the IAEA called unprecedented. Israel's intelligence assessment was clear. Iran was months away from a nuclear weapon. Then came the decision. The United States and Israel agreed to a joint operation, not just to bomb nuclear sites, to decapitate the entire Iranian command structure. The operation had a name, but what it did was simple. In the Islamic Republic as the world knew it. Chapter 2. Day 1. At approximately 2 a.m. Tehran time, the first wave hit. Nearly 900 strikes in 12 hours. Not just military bases. The leadership house, Khamenei's compound, was the opening target. By dawn, Iranian state media confirmed what the world already knew. Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader since 1989, was dead, along with his daughter, granddaughter, son-in-law, and daughter-in-law, and father-in-law. But it wasn't just him. Defense Minister Aziz Nasirzadeh killed. IRGC Commander Mohammad Pakpour killed. Defense Council Secretary Ali Khamenei killed. 4 top intelligence officials killed. The IDF confirmed 7 senior security leaders dead in the first 24 hours. The IRGC's Malek Ashtar building in Tehran completely destroyed. Iran's state broadcaster headquarters hit. Military infrastructure across the country systematically dismantled. The stated goal was to destroy Iran's nuclear program and missile capabilities. But the scale of the operation made one thing clear. This wasn't about deterrence. This was about regime change. Chapter 3. The Retaliation. Iran didn't take long to respond. Within hours, the missiles started flying. By March 5th, Iran had launched over 500 ballistic missiles and nearly 2,000 drones. But here's what made this different from any previous conflict. Iran didn't just target Israel. Tehran launched missiles at Bahrain. Kuwait International Airport was hit. Abu Dhabi, Riyadh, eastern Saudi Arabia, the Kurdistan region of Iraq. A drone struck Britain's Akrotiri military base on Cyprus. In Israel, the Beit Shemesh attack on March 1st killed 9 civilians, the deadliest single strike. On March 9th, cluster munitions killed 2 workers in Uhud near Tel Aviv. On March 17th, a cluster bomb hit an apartment building in Ramat Gan, killing 2 people in their 70s. Israel's Iron Dome intercepted many, but not all. Israeli military officials admitted their defense systems failed to intercept some Iranian missiles. Iran's strategy had shifted. Instead of overwhelming barrages, they used multiple warhead missiles and cluster munitions designed to evade defense systems. 6 US soldiers were killed. 13 total US military deaths by mid-March. This was no longer someone else's war. Chapter 4. The Strait. Here's where the war stopped being about missiles and became about your grocery bill. The Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway between Iran and Oman, just 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. Through it passes 20% of the world's entire oil supply, 1/3 of all global fertilizer trade, LNG shipments that power Asian economies. When the war started, shipping through the strait effectively stopped. Oil prices, which had been around $70 a barrel, hit $100 on March 8th, then $120 at peak. Brent crude hadn't been that high since 2022, but oil was just the beginning. Fertilizer prices at the New Orleans hub jumped from $475 to $680 per metric ton during spring planting season. That means the corn you eat, the bread you buy, the feed that raises your meat, all of it just got more expensive. Not next year, now. Harvard Business Review called it the oil shock. The Dallas Federal Reserve modeled the impact: global GDP growth cut by 2.9 percentage points in Q2 2026. That's not a dip. That's the beginning of a recession for major oil importers. Japan, South Korea, India, and most of Europe, all dependent on Gulf oil and gas, faced immediate supply crises. Chapter 5. The Spread. By the second week of March, this was no longer a US-Israel-Iran conflict. It was a regional war. On March 2nd, Hezbollah entered. Missiles and drones launched at Israeli territory from Lebanon. Israel responded with strikes on Beirut. The 2026 Lebanon war had begun. The numbers are staggering. Over 1,000 dead in Lebanon. Nearly 1 million displaced. That's 20% of the country's entire population. In a country already in economic collapse, the US bombed Iran's main oil export hub on March 13th, escalating the economic dimension. Iran struck back at US bases across the region. Jordan, Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia. Global anti-war protests erupted. In the US, in Europe, in Pakistan, protests led to 26 to 35 deaths and 120 injuries. France, Canada, Germany, Italy, and the UK issued a joint statement expressing grave concern and calling for immediate de-escalation. The US was fighting a war that the world didn't want. Chapter 6. The Human Cost. Let's stop and count. In Iran, 3,114 deaths documented by HRANA by March 17th alone. 1,354 confirmed civilians, including 174 confirmed civilians, concluding 175 school children at the Shajare Tayei Elementary School in Mina. One strike, 175 children. Over 6,600 civilian structures damaged or destroyed. 5,535 homes. 1,041 businesses. 14 medical centers. 65 schools. In Israel, at least 18 killed. Dozens injured. Cities under constant alert. In Lebanon, over 1,000 dead. 1 million displaced. In the Gulf states, 21 killed. US military. 13 soldiers dead. And these are just the numbers we know. In the fog of war, real numbers are always higher. Chapter 7. The Talks. On March 24th, something shifted. Pakistan's Army Chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir, called Donald Trump directly. Pakistan offered to host peace talks in Islamabad between the US and Iran. Egypt and Turkey joined as mediators. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif posted publicly, Pakistan stands ready to host meaningful and conclusive talks for a comprehensive settlement. But here's the complication. Trump said talks were progressing. Iran said no talks are happening. Iranian spokesperson Esmail Baghaei confirmed that messages arrived through friendly countries, but said Iran responded according to its principled positions. And while diplomats exchanged words, Iran and Israel exchanged some of the heaviest strikes of the entire war on March 24th. Iranian missiles hit Tel Aviv 8 times in one day. At least 6 injured. The gap between diplomacy and reality has never been wider. Chapter 8. The bigger picture. Even if you live thousands of miles from Tehran or Tel Aviv, this war is already inside your life. If you filled your car with gas this week, you felt it. If you bought groceries, you felt it. If your retirement fund dropped, you felt it. The Strait of Hormuz crisis alone could trigger a global recession. European manufacturers dependent on Gulf energy face production cuts. Asian economies face energy shortages. Emerging markets face food inflation that could destabilize governments. And then there's the nuclear question. The entire war started partly to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. But as the IAEA chief said, war cannot entirely eliminate Iran's nuclear program. The knowledge exists, the scientists exist. You can bomb facilities, you can't bomb knowledge. So what did we gain? And what did we lose? 30 days. That's all it took to kill a supreme leader. Launch thousands of missiles, shut down the world's most important oil choke point, displace 1 million people in Lebanon, kill over 3,000 in Iran, send oil to $126, and bring the global economy to an edge of recession. 30 days to change the map of the Middle East. And as of right now, it's not over. Missiles are still flying. Peace talks are still uncertain. The strait is still disrupted, and the human cost is still climbing. The question isn't whether this war will end. It's what the world looks like when it does. Subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to understand what's happening.